What would you do if your best friend was secretly seeing your husband right behind your back? Latisha Scott walked into a room, and what she saw changed everything. No cameras, no crew, just raw betrayal. This isn't reality TV real life, and the footage. It might just destroy careers, friendships, and an entire empire. Stay tuned, because once you hear what Stormi said, you won't be able to look away. Things have taken a wild turn in Huntsville. Latisha Scott was recently caught on camera completely losing her cool, and now we know why. Word is, she walked in on Stormi Steele getting way too close to her husband, Marsau. This has been building up for months, and now it has finally exploded. But what people are whispering about behind the scenes is even more intense than anything the TV shows. This is not just drama, it is real. This situation has shaken the whole group to its core. It is not just gossip or a reality TV fight, this is personal. People are hurt, friendships are breaking, and trust is gone. Latisha reportedly saw Stormi sneaking around with Marsau, and that moment lit the match. Stormi was someone Latisha considered her sister, someone she trusted deeply. Now she is being accused of crossing the line in the worst possible way. In this video, we are going to explain everything, from what happened behind the scenes to what was caught on camera. There is leaked audio, inside sources, and details you have not heard yet. And let us be clear, this is not just about cheating. This is about broken trust, manipulation, and power moves. Their friendship may never recover. We will show how Latisha first noticed something was off, how the confrontation really played out, and how this might be the final blow between the Scott and Steele families. You will not believe who else was hiding secrets in Stormi's explanation. Just wait until you hear it. Before the yelling and before things went public, there were quiet signs. Latisha started noticing small changes in both Stormi and Marsau. She knows her man, and she knows her circle, and the little things she picked up on now make sense. Let us talk about Marsau first. Sources say he began acting strange, distant at home, extra cheerful on set, especially when Stormi was around. Latisha even told a close friend he changed his cologne, started dressing sharper, and stayed out longer, always claiming he had meetings. But when she asked who he was with, he just brushed it off, saying not to worry. And then there was Stormi. On the surface, she and Latisha looked like best friends. They did Instagram lives, brunches, and podcasts together. But underneath all that, something was clearly off. On the outside, Latisha and Stormi seemed tighter than ever. They always hyped each other up online, smiling for the camera and acting like sisters. But lately, that picture-perfect bond started cracking. People close to the show noticed Stormi pulling back, less active on social media, skipping events where Latisha would be, and even leaving the set early right after Marsau did. That raised eyebrows. Then came the whispers, the kind that start off quiet but quickly grow louder until nobody can ignore them. It started with little moments on set that did not feel right. Crew members began noticing something unusual between Stormi and Marsau. They were often seen having private conversations, during breaks, off to the side, away from everyone else. Most people brushed it off at first, maybe they were talking business, maybe just catching up. But then one crew member made a comment that changed everything. They claimed they saw Stormi gently touch Marsau's arm during one of those conversations. Now, that may not sound like much. A touch on the arm. It could mean anything or nothing at all, but in a space where emotions were already tense and rumors were swirling, that single moment sparked real doubt. People began to pay closer attention. The vibe shifted. Stormi and Marsau were no longer just two co-stars talking between scenes. They became the center of quiet side-eyes and hushed conversations. Everyone was wondering the same thing but afraid to say it out loud. Is something going on here? The moment that truly flipped the switch, though, came through Latisha's assistant. According to insiders, the assistant accidentally overheard a phone call between Stormi and someone she referred to as M. During that call, Stormi reportedly said, "She don't even know what's really going on yet." Now, those words, on their own, could mean almost anything, but context is everything, and Latisha knew her instincts had been sounding alarms for weeks. To her, that comment was not just vague. It was a confirmation. Confirmation that there was something going on behind her back. Something big enough that Stormi was talking about it in secret. From that moment on, Latisha snapped into focus. She was no longer guessing. She started investigating. Latisha began by watching Marsau more closely. His recent behavior was already raising red flags. He had been distant at home, barely talking during dinner, always on his phone, always in meetings. But now she was connecting dots. She checked his call logs. She tracked where he said he was going. When he said he was at a meeting, she looked up whether that event even existed. When he said he was filming, she checked the time-stamped stories and posts from other cast members to confirm his location. The more she dug, the more things stopped adding up. Marsau had started changing subtly but noticeably. He wore different cologne, started dressing more sharply, and was putting extra effort into his appearance, even on casual days. He also began leaving home earlier and returning later, always brushing off Latisha's questions with lines like, "Don't worry about it, I got it handled." But now she was worrying. And what she was seeing made her worry even more. She also looked at Stormy differently. Once her closest friend and confidant, Stormy had started pulling away. She stopped commenting on Latisha's social media posts. She was absent from events where she was usually front and center. She even left early from filming days, often around the same time Marsau did. It was subtle, but it felt cold. And then there was the awkwardness at Melody's recent launch party. Stormy barely looked at Latisha. Marsau slipped out quietly. 10 minutes later, so did Stormy. 2 separate cars. No goodbyes, just tension so thick you could feel it. Latisha wasn't the only one noticing. People around her started pointing out things too. "Did you see how she avoided you? Marsau seemed nervous when you walked in. Stormy dipped out fast today." Latisha listened carefully. She was not paranoid, she was alert. And then came the moment she could no longer ignore. Marsau told Latisha he had a business meeting scheduled with an out-of-town investor. The meeting was to take place at a high-end office building just outside of Huntsville. Seemed normal enough. But fate, or maybe something else, stepped in. A close friend of Latisha's happened to be in the area and spotted Marsau's car parked in a side lot, a few spaces down. Stormy's SUV. They both entered the building just minutes apart. Latisha did not wait. She drove straight there. No camera, crew, no producers. Just her keys, and a heart full of fury. According to someone working in the building, Latisha walked in with fire in her eyes. She asked for directions to the second-floor conference room, and she already knew where she was going. When she opened the door, the truth was sitting right in front of her. There they were, Marsau and Stormy. No laptops, no investor, no papers, just 2 half-empty drinks and 2 guilty faces. They were sitting closer than they should have been. The room froze. For 10 full seconds, no one said a word. Then Latisha broke the silence. "So this is who you've been lying to me for, Stormy? You couldn't even pick someone outside the circle." Stormy jumped up, hands raised, trying to speak. But Latisha was already in tears, shouting, shaking, throwing her bag. The emotion was raw. Security had to step in, and Marsau. He said nothing. Arms crossed, jaw tight, not a word. And in that moment, Latisha's fears turned into facts. Her suspicions were no longer just in her head. The betrayal was real, and it was sitting right in front of her. She started checking Marsau's call logs, tracking his schedule, and even matching his so-called work meetings with what cast members were posting online. Things were not adding up. Something felt off. And then came Melody's recent launch party. The energy was weird. Stormy barely looked Latisha in the eye. Marsau dipped out early. 10 minutes later, Stormy left 2 different cars. No explanation. Just cold looks and tension, so thick it could be sliced. You know the saying, when a woman's fed up. Well, Latisha had hit that point. And when she decided to take action, she was not coming to play. After weeks of ignored calls, shady messages, and gut feelings, Latisha made a move. She planned to confront the man, did it on her own terms. Marsau had told her he had a meeting with an investor at an upscale office outside Huntsville. Harmless, right? But one of Latisha's close friends happened to be nearby and saw Marsau's car in a hidden lot with Stormy's SUV just a few spaces away. 10 minutes apart, both walked inside the building. That was all Latisha needed. Latisha did not bring a camera crew. She did not alert anyone from production. She did not even tell her closest friends. She just showed up, no filters, no performance, only pain, questions, and a heart that had been carrying suspicion for far too long. Dressed in casual clothes but walking with purpose, Latisha entered that office building like a woman who had finally reached her limit. Her hands were steady, but her chest felt heavy. She had already imagined the worst. But part of her still hoped she would be wrong. According to one staff member on duty that evening, Latisha walked straight to the reception desk and asked to be directed to the second-floor conference suite. There was no hesitation in her voice. No fear. She already knew exactly where to go. She had done her homework, timelines, location, even the room Marsau said he'd be using for the investor meeting. But what she walked into was not business. It was betrayal, plain and simple. Marsau's face went pale. Stormy looked like she had seen a ghost, and Latisha. She stood tall, her eyes locked on them both. Then she broke the silence. "So this is who you're lying to me for?" Her voice was calm, but every word cut like glass. "Stormy, you couldn't even find somebody outside the circle." Stormy quickly stood up, hands open, trying to explain. "Latisha, listen, it's not what it looks like," but Latisha was already unraveling. The pain was too much. She started shaking, her hands trembling as tears poured down her cheeks. Her voice cracked as she yelled, "You were supposed to be my sister." She reached for her handbag, threw it across the room, and collapsed into a cry that came from somewhere deep inside, a cry that had been building for weeks, maybe even months. Stormy tried to approach her, but Latisha backed away. "Do not come near me," she screamed. "You sat at my table. You looked me in the face. And this is what you do behind my back." Security staff quickly stepped into the room after hearing the commotion. They did not touch Latisha but stayed nearby in case things escalated. The energy in the room was heavy rage, sorrow, disbelief, all swirling together in an emotional storm. And Marsau. He stood there, arms crossed tightly across his chest, jaw clenched. He did not defend himself. He did not deny anything. He did not even try to calm Latisha down. His silence spoke louder than any confession. He just stood there like a man who had already made peace with being caught. Latisha turned to him, heartbroken. "Say something. Anything." Still, nothing. That silence was all the confirmation she needed. She shook her head and whispered, "Wow," before slowly walking toward the door. But right as she turned to leave, another unexpected twist: someone in the building had quietly started recording. A staff member nearby, who had seen Latisha storm in, captured the moment from the hallway, audio, video, everything. While it has not been released publicly, sources say own producers are already reviewing the footage. If legal clearances are met, it might air in the next season. If it does, it will be one of the most talked about moments in reality TV history. Back inside the room, Stormy finally found her voice. "It's not what you think," she said, her tone trembling. "Latisha, he told me you two were already done." Those words hit Latisha like a punch to the chest. That sentence, short, cold, and sharp, confirmed everything she feared. Not only had Marsau been sneaking around behind her back, but he had been painting their marriage as broken. As if he had the right to move on before even facing her. Latisha turned around, eyes wide with rage. "You believed that? You of all people? After everything I told you?" Stormy looked down, unable to meet her gaze. Marsau continued his silence. A man with nothing left to say. Latisha took one final look at them both and walked out of the room, but the damage had already been done. What was supposed to be a quiet business meeting turned into a full-on emotional explosion, and the fallout. It would reach far beyond that conference room within hours. Word had started spreading. Crew members began whispering. Castmates started texting. The circle was breaking. Trust was shattered, and Latisha was no longer the heartbroken wife. She was the woman on a mission. Because when she walked out that door, she did not just leave behind a cheating husband and a backstabbing friend. She walked into a new chapter. One where she would not be silent anymore. But here's the wild part: someone from the building pulled out their phone and recorded the entire thing. That video has not been made public yet, but OWN producers are reportedly reviewing it and may include it in the next season if they get the green light. And Stormy, she finally spoke, and what she said changed everything. "It's not what you think, Latisha. He told me you two were already done." That line was like lighting a match to gasoline. It meant Marsau had been telling Stormy their marriage was over just so he could get closer to her. For Latisha, that was the ultimate betrayal. After she stormed out, the fallout came fast. The news spread like wildfire through the cast and online. Fans were in shock. But within 48 hours, things got even messier. Stormy, instead of staying quiet, tried to take control of the story. She posted a cryptic Instagram story, just a black screen with the words, "People will twist anything when they've already made up their minds. Let them." Fans knew exactly who that was aimed at. Comments started pouring in. You talking about Latisha? Girl, don't play innocent. Just admit it and move on. But the internet was not done with Stormi yet. As soon as the confrontation happened, gossip blogs went into overdrive. Insiders began leaking juicy details, and Stormi's name was trending on Twitter within hours. Instead of laying low, Stormi posted again a soft selfie with the caption, "Energy doesn't lie." That sent fans into a frenzy. Was she throwing shade at Latisha? Was she denying the whole thing? The internet was split. Some stood by her, but many called her a snake who broke sisterhood codes. And Marsau, nowhere to be found. No posts, no statements. Not even an apology, just total silence. Sources say he packed up and left town for a while, avoiding cameras, press, and even missing a real estate event he was booked to speak at. A family insider revealed that Marsau knew things looked bad and was trying to handle it privately before OWN, the network behind the show, stepped in, but that plan failed. OWN producers reportedly reached out to him and are now considering editing the next season to include this exploding scandal. Fan interest has skyrocketed, and they know drama like this brings record-breaking views. Latisha, on the other hand, is not sitting quietly. A few days after the confrontation, she began posting subtle but powerful messages. One Instagram story showed her raising a wine glass with the caption, "2 lessons learned and bridges burned." Then came a tweet that stopped people in their tracks. Sometimes the betrayal doesn't hurt as much as realizing who's been faking the longest. Fans instantly knew who she was talking about, but Latisha's next move was the real power play she lawyered up. Word is, she's speaking to legal experts not just about her marriage, but also about her business, her image, and her ownership rights. Insiders believe she is trying to take full control of the business she built with Marsau, and there is buzz that a major media outlet has offered her a solo interview deal to finally tell her side of the story. If she decides to go public with proof, it could crush more than just a friendship. It could bring down Stormi's entire brand. During a heated fight with Stormi, according to their now deleted post, they used to work with Stormi in a past business venture. During that time, Stormi allegedly confided in them, saying she and Marsau were emotionally close. She reportedly said, "If things fall apart between them, at least I know I was the one he turned to." Then the source dropped an audio clip. It was a scratchy recording, but fans believe the man's voice sounds just like Marsau. In the clip, the man says, "You keep saying it's about her, but you knew what this was from the beginning. You knew we had something different." The woman responds, "I'm not trying to ruin your marriage, you said you'd handle it." If that audio is real, it changes everything, though it has not been confirmed. Tech-savvy fans have been comparing voice patterns with Marsau's old interviews, and many say it is a match. OWN is now reportedly reviewing the material to see if it can be used in future episodes, or possibly spun into a full-blown tell-all special. Stormi, since then, has gone completely dark. No new posts, no public events. Her team has started deleting old tweets and removing tags to lower her visibility. Fans also noticed that her business pages lost thousands of followers in just a few days. Her silence, it is louder than any words. As for Marsau, sources say he is still not speaking directly to Latisha, but he has hired PR experts to manage his image. That move alone shows he is nervous. Nervous about what Latisha might do next. Nervous that this story is far from over, and Latisha, she is holding a wild card. One of her close friends says Latisha has her own collection of receipts, messages, recordings, and screenshots saved and ready. She has not released them yet. Why? Because she is waiting. Waiting for the right moment, the right stage, and the right deal. If she drops those receipts, this scandal could go down as one of the most unforgettable moments in reality TV history.